Hey, Wembley World Entertainment, and the Creed franchise, of course, was the first and at this stage only spin-off from the Rocky franchise, but it also, of course, rejuvenated Rocky because obviously Stallone was in the first two. But it's been pretty much radio silence since the third movie came out in 2023, I think it was. But we are now starting to hear that Creed 4 may in fact be in the works, but spin-offs as well. And not a spin-off movie, TV shows. Now, this is coming from Michael B. Jordan himself, who of course is Adonis Creed. So let's dive into this. And just before we actually do, I should just let you know, I still haven't watched Creed 3. It was the whole Jonathan Majors thing that kind of turned me off, and the fact that they kind of ignored Stallone for it. But we'll have a look at this anyway. So it's saying here, Creed 4 and a new spin-off show get an update from Michael B. Jordan, who confirms an exciting future for the Rocky franchise. Jordan made his debut as Adonis Creed in 2015's Creed, most recently returning to play the character in 2023's Creed 3, but a fourth film hasn't yet materialized. Speaking with Variety, Jordan now confirms that he will be returning to make Creed 4, but there isn't a firm timeline for the movie just yet. The actor, director and producer also shares his long-term hopes for the franchise, expressing an interest in remaining involved in future installments, but perhaps not necessarily being the main focus. Now, just before we look at what he says, I think it's quite ironic how Rocky, the franchise, was taken away from Stallone. Stallone, it's his. It should be his. But of course, at the time, he signed a deal that just was to give him, I think it was like $100 at the time. And he has been fighting ever since to get the rights to Rocky back. And they just are not willing to give it to him. And now, of course, he came back with Creed and Creed 2 and then got pretty much ousted for Creed 3. He had no involvement. They didn't ask him to work on the story. Nothing. The irony now that Michael B. Jordan is saying, I hope to remain involved for all the future installments. It's like, good luck with that, pal. Because just look at Stallone, what happened with him. It's probably on the cards for you as well. But this is what he said to Variety. He said this. Eventually, definitely, it's a franchise that's been really kind to me in a big way. I love MGM and Irwin Winkler and everything they've got going on. I think there's a bit more story to be mined through that. Do I want to be in the ring boxing for the next 15 years? Not so much, but I think there are clever ways and interesting characters we've established that we might want to see where that goes, along with some introductions to new ones I have in mind. I still might be able to get a couple of really good swings at the franchise a bit more. So you're really kind of starting to hear him seemingly thinking the franchise is his all of a sudden, which it's weird, to be honest with you. So in addition to the positive news regarding Creed 4 and beyond, Jordan confirms that a spin-off show focusing on Adonis' daughter is on the way. Because of course it is. So he said this, we're spinning off doing Adonis' daughter, Amira's story, the television show that picked up at Amazon. So you'll be seeing different parts of the Creed verse. I like to call it, these little IPs are going to keep the universe alive without it being completely reliant on just me to push it through the finish line every time as a boxer. I'll be adjacent. Again, you're hearing him really seeming to think that this whole universe is his. It's not. It's Stallone's. And he should keep that in mind that Adonis Creed, Ryan Coogler came up with the character, but then Stallone had a lot of input as well. He was brought in to act in Creed. Then he had a bit more kind of hands-on with Creed 2. And of course he wrote, I'm pretty sure he wrote, and didn't he direct Creed 3? But he's very much seemingly thinking it's this Rocky universe is now his. It very much isn't, and he needs to understand that it very much isn't, because he's gonna learn the hard way that, yeah, you're not in control. Just ask Stallone. Like, the fact that all of you guys ignored Stallone for the third movie is ridiculous. If you ask me, it's ridiculous. The fact that they never even reached out to him and say, look, I think Rocky's story, we don't really need him for this one. Is that okay with you? They literally announced the movie, announced who was directing it, they were writing stuff, and then we're like, oh yeah, there's no Rocky in this one. It was like, wow. You really could have reached out to the guy who helped you, and really kind of, if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't have this franchise. So, after Ryan Coogler directed the first 2 Creed movies, Jordan stepped behind the camera for his directorial debut for the third installment, which followed Adonis as he faces off against a former childhood friend played by Jonathan Majors. Creed 3 reviews were glowing from critics, and the film was a box office hit. I really remember nothing being said about the movie or box office wise. The Creed spin-off show was first announced in May 2025 with the title Delphi. The only plot information revealed about the show is that it would follow the young boxers at the Delphi gym, a location also featured in the Rocky movies. With Jordan's latest reveal that Amira is the focus of the show, it's not clear whether Delphi will remain the spin-off's title. Okay, I don't remember. Did he have the kid in the second movie? I don't think he had the kid in the second movie. He obviously has a daughter in the third movie, but she's a kid, like a little kid. Why would you focus a Rocky spin-off on a child? That makes absolutely zero sense to me. Plus, who the hell wants to watch that? Like, realistically, who the hell wants to watch that? If they turned around and told us years ago, hey, we're going to do a Rocky spin-off, and it's going to be a TV show, you'd be like, who are we focusing on? Are we focusing on Apollo Creed? Are we going to focus on, Bubba Lang? Who are we focusing on? And they turned around and said, his son, the one who doesn't want to be a boxer and stuff like that. You'd be like, why? Like, is Rocky going to feature in it? And if they told you no, you'd be like, so why? Why would you do that? Why would they want to make and expect people to tune in, week out, to watch a TV series based on Adonis Creed's child, his daughter? Like, what are we doing here? This is a bit weird and ridiculous, and I don't think anybody's going to have interest in that. But what the hell do I know? So, what do you guys think? Are you interested in the Creed spin-off show featuring his daughter? Are you interested in a Creed 4? If you saw Creed 3, and of course all the Creeds, what do you think? And of course, what do you think about how they treated Stallone by the time they got to Creed 3? As well as, do you think I'm right, or do you think I'm a bit out of touch with how I think he's approaching this with that mindset of it's his franchise now? Let me know in the comments. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like, share, subscribe, hit the hype button, check out memberships if you want to help the channel grow even more. It all does help. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.